Hey, good afternoon, boys and girls, and parents. I have been racking my brain about what can we do to make this opportunity as special as possible. And I know that all of my students love hearing farm stories. So I decided, hey, why not make this about agriculture? We can tie in math, reading, writing, all of those things. Plus you get to see my cute family that has 4 legs. All right, so you probably guessed it. In a little bit, we're gonna be going down to the cow pen. All right, I wanted to let you know that I already made this beautiful graphic organizer. And I know sometimes my handwriting is hard to read. So I wanted to go over some of the things that we already know because we've studied about them in our class for different things, like when we were talking about rural communities. Okay, so I live in a town called Herman. It's in Nebraska. It is a town of 310 people. I don't have many neighbors. Most of my neighbors are farmers as well. Some of them also work outside of their farm, like at Woodhouse. My neighbor works at Woodhouse. She's a secretary. Her husband also has a farm as well that they farm, but he's also a truck driver. So he ships cattle from one farm to another. So they are what I call like double farming. So they are making a business from their farm and then also farming not only to raise food for the animals, but also that's how they make it by selling the animals as a product. Okay, so I am a teacher, okay? That's my first and foremost responsibility. We do have a very, very small farm. Very minimal amount of acres. I really can't take on much more. At our farm, we raise cattle, ducks, chickens, and goats. So those are the things that we raise. We do not have a lot of cropland or pasture land, so it's very, very important that we keep our animals very small. We also don't have a lot of space, so we have to limit how many animals we have. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about cattle. There are 2 kinds of cattle. We raise beef cattle. Beef cattle are raised for meat. We also raise, we have raised dairy cattle in the past. Dairy cattle are raised for milk. We do eat them, but after their milk production and they have aged out. Their meat is not very good. Normally you won't buy it in the stores unless it's ground up into hamburger. Okay, so what do cattle eat? So my prediction of things that I already knew is that its diet is mainly grass and water. Okay, I know that cattle are mammals. They give birth to live young and they nurse their young. That's what the udders are for. I do know that farmers raise cattle so we can have things like hamburger, steak, pot roast. There are many different cuts of beef as well. I know that cattle are not pets. They're domesticated animals. They're not running around in the wild. They live on a farm and they anticipate the farmer bringing them food every single day. All right. Now, I did post the vocab words. The first one that I want to talk about is byproduct. Okay, byproduct. Cattle. There's many byproducts from cattle. 40% of the cow is used for meat. But there are other parts, like we don't eat the hooves, okay? We normally don't eat the internal organs like the heart and the liver. Those things are all turned into other products. Like you guys aren't going to eat the hide, the skin of the animal, or the hair of the animal. So that's a byproduct. And we're going to talk about those. It is a hyphenated word, byproduct, meaning it is the secondary product of it. So cows are mostly raised for meat. Okay, 40% of that animal will end up in your freezer, okay, or on your plate, and 60% of it will end up being sold as byproducts used in production of other things. My hope is that after we have our video today and our little field trip, that we will be able to add more information to this. All right, well, I think we should head down to the pen. What do you guys think? Greetings, or I should say salutations, for my third grade friends who've read Charlotte's Web. Ellie, our ferocious farm dog, tender and protector of all livestock, as you can see. And I, your host, Miss Shirley, are live in Herman from the pen. Yes, you have guessed it. You have seen it here first. There we go. There are my bovine friends. All right, so I wanted you to see my friends. Okay, right now we only have 3 head of cattle. These are beef cattle. Okay, every single one of them in the pen is a girl. So right now we're gonna spend some time talking about girl cattle and boy cattle. All right, so here's the deal. I do it too. Whenever I'm driving around and I see a big herd of these out in the field, I'm like, hey, look, there's cows. We're actually being incorrect. Okay, a cow is a female that has given birth. Right now, our female that has given birth is right there. Baby, baby, baby. Yes, you heard it here first. That's 3 babies. Okay, she is a Black Angus. We purchased her from a feedlot, but actually we were late getting to the auction, so one of the auctioneers actually bought the cow. We were in Baumgart's looking for something else, I forget, and I walked over and saw the cow, and I had to have her, the little calf, and he sold her to us and a bottle of milk, and she was so teeny tiny that she lived with our chickens. So you can see that those chickens aren't really bothering her. Our chickens are free range, so they go in and out finding food. They are omnivores, so they will eat insects and grains. Okay, our next one right here is a heifer. Okay, now there's some debate about whether she's a heifer or not. This is number 50. We call her that because of her ear tag. We actually purchased her from an auction in Wahoo. She was raised by the Lincoln rodeo crew, so when the cowboys use lariats and practice roping, they actually practiced on her. After the UNL rodeo was finished with her, they sold her at auction. So we've always called her 50 because she has an ear tag. The ear tags are a way to identify the cattle instead of using brands. They also is a way to medicate the cattle as well by putting some medicine on the back of the ear tag to keep flies away. All right, and this little person right there is our yearling, or our calf. That is Ivy. Her name is spelled capital I, capital V, lowercase y, because she is actually baby, 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 baby. So she is the calf of baby, baby, baby. All right, she's a yearling. She's right at about 11 months. We would also call her a heifer because she has not had a baby. 50 was pregnant. She carried the baby full term, but unfortunately when she delivered the baby didn't survive. So if the baby had survived, we would call her a cow, but she's actually a heifer. Now, we don't have any boy cows in our pen. Boy cows who are daddies are bulls. Male cattle who cannot be a daddy are called steers. All right, so I wanted to get a little bit closer. We are standing right next to the cattle. This one right here is Ivy. I can tell because she has a curly tail. She'll let me get pretty close to her. You can tell that she has big ears and a big nose, okay? And you can see that her eyes are mounted on the side of her face. One important thing to know is that cows have great hearing. They have a great sense of smell. They can actually smell for anything up to 5 miles away from them. But their eyesight is not the greatest at night. That's why a lot of farmers and ranchers will load their animals during the day when the cattle get a little less spooked. All right, so you can see that this is our yearling. She's about 1 year old. Her name is Ivy. Okay, I'm gonna see if she'll let me get closer to her. You can see her huge nose. I wanted to let you know a cow's tongue is very, very rough, and it's also pointed. Cows are one of the few animals that can't really blow out their nose to get their boogers out. They actually have to lick them out, and that is why their tongues are pointed. But their tongues really do feel like sandpaper. Now I'm gonna see, this one happens to be 50. You can see underneath her that she does have udders. That's because she was pregnant, okay? Cows only produce milk and they only have udders right when they have given birth and for about a year after birth. 50 is not the nicest because she is from the rodeo, and Ivy, she is super, super sweet, but she's a mama's girl, so she likes to stay next to mama most of the time. This one is my princess. This is baby. I don't know if you can tell, but she's also a black Angus. Okay, I know that because she's all black. I also know that because she's mine. But you will notice that baby doesn't have horns on the top of her head. She's what's called a polled calf, which means they have actually made her genetically, so like her offspring will not have horns. She was born without horns. So there's baby. You can see that eventually she will have to lick her nose soon, which is why I'm kind of zooming in a little bit. Because it is very, very windy out here and it has stirred up lots and lots of dust. Hey, baby, will you give mama a kiss? Hey. Yeah, mama loves you. Yeah, mama loves you. Yeah, thank you, baby girl. Hey, I'm hoping that we can get in so you can see that she has whiskers. Her nose actually has perspiration on it. There she goes, she's licking, sniffing around. Remember, they can smell up to 5 miles. Her ears are back because she's very, very curious. Look at her eyes. All right, good job. Udders, so there we go, there are her udders, okay? These will start to dry up and then they won't be hanging down as much. On a dairy cow, this is where they get the milk. This is where, because she's a mammal, this is where baby Ivy drinks from. The reason why cattle drink milk for about the first 3 weeks is because they're a ruminant animal, which means that they have a 4-chambered stomach. What that means is that it's one stomach, but it's divided into 4 parts or 4 ruminants. The problem is that when they're first born, that ruminant is not fully developed. From the time they're born to the time they're adult, it will grow 25 times larger. At about 3 weeks, it's fully developed. They don't need milk. They can handle grain and hay. All right. Okay, there's my gorgeous baby. You can see the eyelashes that keep the dust away from her eyes. She's showing off her nose again. Hey, baby, will you show him your tongue? Hey, will you show him your tongue? Show him your tongue, baby. Show him your teethers. Can you show him your teethers? Come on. Oh, I saw a little tongue. Can you show him your teethers? Now, baby is very tame. She was mine, she was very little. Calves are normally anywhere from 60 to 80 pounds when they were born. We got her within probably the first 2 days of her being born. She was able to get mom's milk right away, which is called colostrum. That's very important because it has a lot of things that help babies fight off infection. So she's pretty used to me coming up to her and snuggling with her. When we got her, she was very sick, so she snuggled with me a lot. She spent a lot of time in with the chicken coop because it was protected and heated. So she will let me get very close to her, but please don't go up to a strange animal that you don't know and try to get this close. So baby will let me pet her. She'll also let me show her off a little bit, I'm hoping. She is full size, so she's right at about 1,200 pounds, which this is about the size that a farmer would sell them for meat, okay? okay? So 40% of this animal is for meat, 60% of it goes to byproducts. You can tell she has a lot of hair. That's going to be made into paintbrushes. Her skin is actually going to be turned into leather, and it's going to make cowboy boots, baseballs. Oh, and now she decided to bless us by peeing, because everybody needed that on videotape. Notice how she lifts her tail to keep it out of the way. She also uses that to combat flies. Now you can tell that she's very, very muddy. There's a couple of reasons. That helps add moisture when her skin's dry with the changes of weather. Plus it's just been very, very rainy. All right, now, baby, I'm gonna tell you that your skin is enough to produce 18 soccer balls, 144 baseballs, or 12 footballs. They're called pigskins, but they're actually made out of hides from cows. Alrighty, so I just put out hay, okay? I got it from a round bale. There's not much left of this round bale. They're about 1,400 pounds, 1,000 to 1,400 pounds. But this was grass and alfalfa that was grown out in the field by our neighbor, Randy. He has a trucking business. I just put it out for the cows, and I was hoping that they would come over and eat. So you can see exactly how flat their teeth are and how many times they chew. So they do more of a grinding motion because their teeth are very, very flat. Okay, right now it looks like they're all checking out baby Ellie over there, but I wanted to let you know that cows will take the hay, and because they're not able to break down the fibers, they will chew it 8 hours a day. So they have about 40,000 jaw movements a day. And instead of coming down like this, they kind of do more of a grinding action to break up that fiber in the hay and the grass. So they work very, very hard. It's also called chewing your cud because it goes into the first ruminant. Then they kind of cough it up a little bit and they will actually chew it again. But it's not regurgitation and it's not vomiting. It's a totally different process. And they have to do that to break down and get the most nutrients out of it as possible. Now, that being said, they produce a lot of manure as well. So many of you this spring, you're going to be putting down manure in your gardens. That manure is not coming straight from the cattle, okay? It is being seasoned for 1 year because all of that stuff in their manure or in their poop, those are seeds. And if you just planted it, you would get those seeds again. So you would get a lot of brome hay, alfalfa, and you don't want that in your garden. So you have to let it season for about 1 year, sometimes a little bit more. A lot of times, like when we clean up our cow pen, our neighbor will load it up into a manure spreader and spread it in a thin layer over the field as a way to use it as fertilizer. I set this up as a little bit of a visual, okay? I wanted to let you know that one of the things that helps them break down their food is their saliva. Underneath their tongue, they produce 50 liters a day. So this Diet Coke bottle is holding 2 liters of soda. That means how many of these would they produce? If it's 50 liters and this bottle holds 2 liters, how many of these would they produce in a day of just saliva or just cow spit? All right, so many of you guys worked out that response and you did come up with, they have 50 liters, so that's 25 2-liter bottles. That number can actually fluctuate because of the temperatures of the season as anywhere from 50 liters to 75 liters of saliva. Okay, next, you will see that a gallon is bigger than a liter, okay? I wanted to talk about how much water our cattle drink. On a normal day, like 70 degrees, and if they're not pregnant or nursing, they will drink 9 gallons of water a day, anywhere from 9 to 11. If they're nursing or it's warm, it could be anywhere from 11 to 18 gallons a day. Now, we don't fill up these containers and give them to them every day. We don't measure it. We have 3 cows, so 3 cattle. And so what we do is we have this waterer. It's a tank. It keeps the water heated, okay? And because cows do regurgitate or chew that cud, you will see that there is some algae. So that's one of my jobs, is to scoop that out every single day. Really hard on making some new friends. You missed it, but they were just kind of grooming each other a little bit. I wanted to let you know that I am super, super proud to be part of the agriculture food chain. I know I'm just a very, very small link in it, but one of these animals will produce enough meat for a family of 4 to eat for about 6 months. The average American eats 65 pounds of beef in a year. US and Brazil are the top beef producing countries. The top 3 states are Nebraska, Texas, and Iowa, and it kind of fluctuates from year to year depending on, it kind of rotates between Nebraska and Iowa. All right, I'm sitting down on the ground so you can kind of see how big these animals are, okay? Just so you know, it is Ivy on the far right and baby on the far left, and 50 is in the back. All right, so there are over 800 beef breeds. These are an example of Black Angus. We talked about how the US and Brazil produce the most beef in the world. There are actually more cows or more cattle than people in Uruguay, New Zealand, Argentina, Australia, and Brazil. There are more chickens in the world than people. Thought that was an interesting fact. Okay, I told you that we were going to be talking about byproducts. So after this animal is harvested or slaughtered, okay, 40% of the animal will go to meat, but 60% will go to byproducts. Those byproducts are things other than meat. So the hair will go to make paintbrushes. The hide will go to make footballs and baseballs and soccer balls and boots and leather gloves and leather belts. But there's more. Over 100 medicines, including insulin, are made from bovines or from cattle. The fat is used to make synthetic plastic, like what my cowboy boots are made out of, my Rain cowboy boots. It also, those byproducts go into paint, shampoo. The hide will go into hair, paintbrushes, shoes, and belts. The bones will be ground up for fertilizer, candy like gummy bears. The horn and hooves as well will be the gel coating on capsules, or also jello or gelatin. It's really hard to have this conversation with the cows looking at me like that. The cattle didn't like me sitting so close to their food supply. They do eat hay during the day, as well as we also give them sweet feed, which is actually ground up alfalfa and corn mixed together, and it's coated with something sweet called molasses that just increases their appetite. They drink 9 gallons of water a day. And 1 gallon is about 8 pounds. So if you think about it, I'm so glad I don't have to lift that into the pen every day. A cow will eat 2% of its body weight in dry feed, or about 24 to 28 pounds. So I did put in 2 40-pound bags of feed just so you can see what they look like. This is what we are using, okay? All stock sweet feed. It's good for sheep, goats, and cattle, and horses, okay? So 1 bag is about 40 pounds, so I put 2 of them in. All right, let's see if they'll let me show you a video of them chewing, because that's really fun to watch. Okay, it's not very attractive with Ivy having that piece of grass hanging out of her nose. There's baby eating. You can hear how they don't really chew with their mouths closed. On a hot day, they won't eat as much, but they will drink more water. When it's winter time, we do try to give them cracked corn or more corn as a way to heat them up, as a way for them to have energy. You see them out standing in this muddy pasture, okay? This is just where they eat. This is about 1/4 of an acre fenced in. And then they do have shelter. So there's our shelter for them to get into when it's raining or snowing or when it's super windy. All right, so many of you guys want to know what our daily routine is like. We typically get up, we do our chores, so we come down and feed the animals in the morning. We make sure everything's okay. Then we'll go in and have our breakfast, because our rule at our house is that animals eat first because they are domestic animals, depending on us to feed them. So they eat first. When we're hungry, they're probably hungry. So they eat, then I make breakfast, get ready to go to work. I'm at work. When we get home, we feed them again. We make sure that everything's okay with them, check their hooves, make sure that they're not running a fever or anything like that. We'll feed them, make sure that they're moving around, check them, just to see if they have any sores, because animals can get sores, especially when it's really wet. They can get ringworm. They also get what's called bovine lice, which cannot be transferred to humans, but it's just like human lice, where it gets in their hair and on their body hair as well, and we have a chemical that we can treat them with. At our farm, we try really, really hard not to give them any additional hormones or chemicals. We're trying to be very responsible about that, because we will eat these animals. I won't, but we will sell them. This is a business for us. They're not our pets. They will end up in someone's freezer. They will end up as byproducts. So a lot of people think that girls can't be farmers or women can't be farmers. That's not true. Okay, anyone can be a farmer. You need some land. You have to have money, as in resources, to buy food and land and water. You have to be able to make sure that they are warm and treated well. You have to have a trailer to take them to market, to also take them to the vet. Our cows do, or our cattle do, get shots right when they come to our farm. They get vaccinations to make sure that they're not spreading anything to other cattle, because we do have other cattle in the area. So we do use our truck to go pick up hay, bring it to the animals. So there's a lot of machinery involved in just having a small production of cattle. We still have a lot of resources. We had to invest in a fence. That cost us, just to go around the perimeter of 1/4 acre, it was about $3,000 to put up this metal fence, but well worth it, because our cattle haven't been out on a field trip in our neighbors' yards or houses lately. When we had a wooden fence, it wouldn't keep them in. All right, it's Miss Shirley again. I did want to tell you why I have decided to theme our online learning with agriculture. There are 93 counties in Nebraska, and agriculture is part of every single one of them. Agriculture can be anything from a veterinarian to a farmer to a rancher, to someone who hauls grain or writes the tickets. So we're going to talk about many aspects of it and talk about a lot of the animals. Plus it's springtime, so it's time for farmers to get out in the fields and start planting. So we'll be talking about some of the things that are in the fields around us: corn, soybeans, wheat. Also, I did want to let you know, typically when we think about farmers, we think about boys. We think about people who look like me, who are wearing hats or boots, or we love John Deere. Some farmers like other brands, but you know, on this farm we love John Deere. It's John Deere or nothing. But there are a lot of farmers who do not look like Mr. Maitland and myself. And we're going to be talking about and showcasing some of those farmers and women farmers as well. So you will need to be staying tuned to this week of Lessons from the Farm.